What's up, guys? Now here in the Choctawhatchee River swamp right now. River is flooded, so this is as far as I can get down the trail today. But we're going to talk about my Gen 1 KLR. Now, I've had this bike for a long time, but I just recently got this GoPro that y'all are watching this video on today. So I plan on doing a lot more like moto videos. I also got a 2001 Goldwing. Me and the wife do a lot of riding on. But today we are going to do Gen 1 KLR 650 modifications. So I got this bike from my dad. When I got it, it was bone stock. He had a set of Dunlop tires on it that were more like a street oriented tire. But other than that, the bike was 100% stock. That poor fella got killed in there. So since I've had it, I originally went through and painted the plastics like a flat OD green because they were all faded. But when I did that, the gas tank started leaking, the original gas tank. So I got a different gas tank that was a different color. So I went through and painted the bike with just that spray on truck bed liner. You can see it's held up really, really well on the tank, but it hasn't held up real well on the plastics, especially for where I dropped it a couple times before I had crash bars on it. So while we're talking about that, I got this set of crash bars. They are SW Motecs. They're pretty good set of crash bars. I think they're pretty minimalistic, which is what I like about them. But you know, they do a pretty good job protecting the case, protecting the fairings, that kind of thing. Underneath that, we also have a SW Motec skid plate. Gets rid of that factory plastic skid plate and gives you a nice piece of aluminum. And then in the bottom of the motor, I have a Tusk low profile drain plug with a magnet on it, which is pretty cool. Talking about Tusk, I am running the Tusk D Sport dual sport tires. Off-road, they're fucking phenomenal. I love them. They do a really good job. On-road, they kind of suck. I think I got about 3,000 miles on these, and you can see that there's pretty significant cupping on the front tires. But man, what do you expect? These are a knobby mud tire. So they do pretty good. The back's wearing really, really well. I've actually been really happy with the rear tire. It's been doing pretty good, so no complaints there. Still run stock exhaust on this bike. I like how quiet it is. Not a big fan of super loud motorcycles, but eventually I may do an aftermarket exhaust on this. I'm also running, I can't remember what brand this is, but it's just a little rear brake master cylinder, little deflector, skid plate, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, this is a first gen KLR, so it's really important that you replace the doohickey, which is a counterbalance shaft adjustment device. I think that's what it's called. And then there's a spring in there also. So I did the Eagle Mike doohickey with the torsion spring. And then you got to have your old doohickey as your keychain. What else we got done to this thing? Got these Tusk these Tusk off-road bark busters. They're pretty inexpensive. They held up really well so far. Still running the freaking stock grips. You know, who cares? This bike is not really treated well. I kind of abused the snot out of this poor thing. You can tell. I mean, it's not in super good shape, man. But it runs good. It's been really well maintained. I've taken really good care of it. I keep the maintenance up on it, the oil changes, all that kind of stuff. What else I got done? Oh, Tusk aftermarket shifter lever. I have replaced the brake and clutch levers once or twice before I had bark busters on there because I dropped it a couple times. The factory turn signals, so these used to be off on these little rubber stanchions and they all dry rotted and cracked. So I just modified them to where they just flush mount. Do the same thing with the front I did in the rear. Now they're rigid mount now, so they don't have any flexibility, but if you look, they're kind of, you know, almost protected by all this stuff. You know, before they'd stick out here, so when we dropped the bike, they definitely need to flex, but especially the front ones don't really need that anymore. You know, nothing crazy. They're pretty easy to modify. I just kind of took the guts out of it and cut all the pieces and put them all back together. If y'all are smart enough, you can figure it out. I am running a manual Petcock on this bike. It doesn't have that vacuum operated one anymore. This one is off of a Yamaha something or other, Yamaha four-wheeler, something like that. Got a wired in battery tender. I am running a 16 tooth front sprocket. This bike does see a lot of highway miles, so I upgraded it to a 16 tooth, especially when I was commuting on this bike a lot. But now I really ride the Goldwing more than I ride this, so I might go back down to a 15 tooth just to see. O-ring chain, I can't remember even what brand chain that is. Replaced the rear sprocket not too long ago. Replaced the front rear brakes not too long ago. It's a cool little light bar. This is a pretty inexpensive Alpina light bar from Walmart of all places. But as you can tell, that thing is super bright. Actually looks like she's a little loose. I'll have to snug that up. I've been beating down some trails today, but you'd be super surprised on how bright that little thing is. And I have it wired into the high beams on a relay. I just tapped into the wiring for the high beams. What else we got done to this thing? This is a UFO. I think it's a super motard front fender. It replaces that big giant stock KLR front fender that I was never really fond of. But as you can tell by looking at the top of the fender and the headlight, this thing doesn't give you the protection that the stock fender does. But I like the way it looks. I think it cleans the front of the bike up a little bit. And also up front, I am running a Eagle Mike fork brace. That thing does wonders for keeping this bike more stable at high speeds. It takes kind of that deflection out of the front fork tubes and kind of makes everything a little bit more rigid. So, let's see, what else we got done to this thing, man? I think that's about it. Carburetor. I did do, so they call it the 22 cent mod, where you go in there and add 2 washers to the main needle. I put a uni filter in this probably, I don't know, probably 5 years ago now. And I noticed I was starting to get some lean surging at higher speeds. So like 55, 60, 65 miles an hour, you crack the throttle and it would give you a kind of like a bog before it would go. And I kind of followed that for a little while. Turned out it was like a lean bog. So the bike was running a little too lean because of that new air filter. So I did the 22 cent mod, but I actually only did 1 washer. The bike still runs really well. It still gets pretty good fuel economy. It's getting close to 50 miles per gallon. That was one thing I didn't want to mess with too much. I know they sell what's called a KLX Needle Kit for this, which is a lot more aggressive float needle for the carburetor, but it also cuts your fuel mileage down significantly. And as you guys know, here we are in 2022, gas prices are getting kind of crazy. So I wanted to make sure this thing still got good fuel economy. So I did the 11 cent mod, put 1 washer, which raises the needle up in the carburetor, makes it run just a little bit richer, but it keeps your fuel economy. So I think that's about it, guys. Pretty basic bike, man. There ain't a whole lot to it. This thing's got, what, 19,000 miles on it? Yeah, got it from my dad, had about 6,000, so I put some good miles on it. Got a ram mount on here. You all see it's from this video. I've been bouncing down some pretty good trails. That phone never goes anywhere. But dude, pretty simple build, not a whole lot to it. But if you guys are looking for a really fun, reliable, easy to work on, easy to take care of, like dual sport motorcycle where you can go beat down these swamp roads, you can go run out in the desert with it, or you can commute back and forth to work, a first gen KLR 650 is a pretty good buy. Just make sure that it's got a few little things done to it, like the doohickey and a few other things. That's about it, guys. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next video.